How do you get out of bed every morning just to go to a job? I don't understand how people would rather have a job than be dead. I genuinely don't understand the motive. I picked a field I love, I became educated, I have had multiple jobs that are vastly different from each other, and everyone gives me the same overwhelming feeling of I'd literally rather die than do this. It's been every job I've ever had, even before graduating college. I simply don't feel rewarded when I put in effort to complete a task. I never get fulfillment out of a job well done. I don't understand how people do this their whole lives. This is how I used to feel in college, but I had no clue what I wanted to do, so that's what caused it, which led me to drop out. My first job at a gas station didn't make me feel any better because I was treated like garbage. Then I was a busser at a sports bar or house place which had the same problem, except the one manager who was awesome to me. Fuck yeah, he was great. Then I landed a job as a plumber's apprentice, and it really has reinvigorated my love for living. TLDR, I have disliked living for most of my short life, but being able to do something as important as fixing people's plumbing or repairing their BFPs has been a great experience. I feel like I have a reason to live since I'm enjoying this job and I'm doing something that helps people directly, as lame as it may sound. Also, my family has been a big help the whole way, helping me stay sane. Oof. This is giving me flashbacks to my quarter-life crisis. Honestly, I think we've been taught to think a career job is supposed to be fulfilling, give you purpose and satisfaction, blah blah blah. Eventually you realize that's BS for 99% of the world and most of human history. A job just pays the bills. What you do outside of it is where most people find meaning. It's a bit morbid, but read some obituaries in your local papers. The most interesting ones don't talk about their jobs. The only problem is when your job takes up 80% of your days. I'd like a middle ground. My job doesn't need to be fulfilling, but I'd like to not hate every morning waking up to go in every minute while I'm there. I understand the sentiment, but giving up 5/7 days of the week for 45 years of your life to something soulless? Nah thanks. Exactly this. Why do you need to get fulfillment out of a job? My job is just a thing that makes me enough money so I can do the things that I do get fulfillment out of. Sounds to me like OP just needs to find some hobbies or something that they do get fulfillment out of. I understand where you're coming from, but this is a really counterproductive view. Telling people to simply accept how awful things are isn't helpful. The biggest reason why people hate their jobs isn't because of the work itself. The reason is the way our economy is structured. In this structure, the purpose of work is to make your employer wealthier. There is no sense of helping your community, no meaning to be drawn from work. Also, workers have essentially no control or power over their lives while at work, unless they are one of the 6% of private sector workers who have a union, and even then, some unions have been co-opted. In the short term, it's essential to find a way to cope with the existing system. But if that's all we do, then nothing will ever get better. Our children will be serfs, their children will be serfs, and their children will be serfs as well, until humanity finally ends. That's not an acceptable outcome. Humanity doesn't exist to serve a ruling class. I'm a masochist. And people depend on me. Not just that, I have animals that depend on me. I can't look my kitties in the eyes and not feel like I have to do everything I can to provide for them. I have a dog I love very much. He makes me wake up every day. He's hungry. Yeah, I'd love to sleep in. Not go to work. Give up. But my dog whines at my bedroom door every morning at 8 a.m. and is so excited to see me in the morning. Gotta keep on trudging if only to keep paying his bills. My husky passed away in November unexpectedly. She was 9 and was diagnosed diabetic. She progressed so fast they just couldn't stabilize her blood sugar. She was gone a week after diagnosis. She was getting older, but I thought we'd have at least a few more years. I got her when I was 20, my first dog that was mine, not a family dog, and she was everything. She helped me stay stable through all of my 20s. I don't know what to do anymore. I always feel lonely. I have nothing to give my love and affection to, and nothing to receive it from. We were bonded at the deepest level. I will never be the same again now. Losing her and watching her suffer has changed me forever. Sometimes I feel like I will never be happy again. I've developed the ability to have fun regardless of the situation. Job, jail, stranded along the road. It doesn't matter, I have the tools to make it not suck. My productivity could be better and I'm not going to be Employee of the Year, but at least I'm not burned out or depressed like a lot of my coworkers who are productive. I have people who depend on me. I won't lie, some days I feel it too. I almost hope I get into a car accident on my way in. However, I have a little girl and an aging mother I am responsible for. I could just quit, skip town and never look back, but I could never, ever forgive myself for it. The little one didn't ask for any of this and my mother has given her life raising 3 kids. The way I see it, if I can give back to mom and provide a better life than I had growing up to the little one, it makes it all worth it. Edit, to the person who reported this to Reddit Care Sources, thank you. I appreciate the thought very much, but I'm doing just fine. I assume it was this comment, I can't actually tell all. Same here. I want to spoil my kids. Want them to be able to join sports or the arts community. I want to take them on nice vacations like to Disney World. I want to travel before I retire, and I want a decent home and not have to worry about if I have enough money to feed our family. I don't hate my job, but I don't know that I love it. It can be high stress at times, but it pays well. But I'd rather have work stress than family or financial stress. The joy of seeing my girls go to gymnastics, planning vacations with them almost always outweighs the work stress. If we continue on our current path, looking back, the job will be worth it considering what we were able to get in return. Pretty much my reason, minus the kid. My mom was fucked over by my dad when they divorced. She had to juggle credit cards my dad lumped her with, sell her car and other possessions to pay the minimum on bills. I was an adult when they divorced, but she didn't tell me how bad her money situation was to protect me. I found out a few years later how much she'd been struggling when I was staying at her house for a few days and woke up at like 2 a.m. to get some water and found her crying in her lunchroom because her power and water were way overdue and the credit cards were going up instead of down to interest and she didn't know how she was going to pay them. First thing I did was pay off all mom's current bills, then we got a lawyer and dumped all of dad's credit cards back on him. My mom now lives with my husband and I. She doesn't want for anything. She's been able to retire. She was filling the freezer section at a supermarket in her 60s, and she's been able to finally do the things she's always wanted to do. My husband and I are able to support my mom while saving and affording things we like to do. I generally enjoy my job and coworkers, but if I didn't have to work I'd totally quit and play video games and do my hobbies all day. I probably could if it was just my husband and I, but I never want my mom to worry about money again and I want to give her the life she deserves after she did that for me to her own detriment for 30 years and so I roll my arse out of bed and keep working. I've struggled with this my whole life. I fight every day with it. The only reprieve I've found within is knowing that I can make the lives of those around me happier and better, as the absolute biggest fuck you to the gnawing dread of the void that awaits us all. This is absolutely the answer. When I was pregnant, depression hit bad. Really bad during my second trimester. It got so bad, I couldn't even do basic stuff. I just cried all the time. Eventually I literally looked myself in the mirror and said, "Fuck you and fuck your fucking feelings. You don't have to be happy. Just be useful." How can I be useful? What can I do? Who can I help? That shit for real saved my life. I honestly had to double check that I didn't write this. I'm with you. I got a degree in engineering, supposed to be what I love doing. I've had 3 career moves. One to a similar industry but different company, also smaller company. One to an entirely different industry. For as long as I have had a career, my work ruins my Friday nights because I am depressed about knowing I have to go to work Monday. I can't even enjoy my time off because I dread going to work. My jobs been fine. I've always had great bosses. I've always done well on my jobs. Promoted easily enough. Paid well. Rarely OT. I just absolutely dread the 9-5 grind. Software engineer here and pretty much the same story. I've had great bosses and easily take casual days to make a long weekend, but the 5 days a week 9-5 grind just chips away at you. I try to keep the depression away until Sunday evening. If it wasn't for my dogs I wouldn't bother keeping a job honestly. I despise my job. I tested positive for COVID 2 weeks ago and was screamed at for being in quarantine last Friday. I am back in the office this week and I told my boss I am getting a test today during my lunch break. Takes about 5 minutes, and I was screamed at for wanting to get another test. So, Dogs. If it wasn't for Lilith 0, I wouldn't subject myself to this mundane 40 hours a week, minimum, grind. Also, before this job I was poor, stole groceries to survive, struggled with substance abuse and lived off ramen for a couple of years. That gave a little bit of perspective. I don't want to struggle like that again. But mostly, dogs. I am a teacher, and I thoroughly enjoy seeing my students, teaching them, and getting to know their tiny worlds. But I still hate waking up at 5:30 every morning, driving 30 minutes in the snow, shivering in front of my space heater, and spending 8 hours working just to drive another 30 minutes home in the dark to do it again the next day. 40 hours work weeks are awful no matter what you do. They shouldn't exist. Wouldn't matter if I lived in a sunny place, kids shouldn't even have to be at school for that long. It's too much.